Hi guys, it's Krishanti with Krishanti.com talking about psychic development and spiritual and personal growth. And if you like this topic, please be sure to hit the like button and subscribe because I do a new video every week about a myriad of different topics. And today I wanted to cover a little bit more info about spirit guides and spirit guides' names. Now, I've done a couple of videos about guides. I have a whole workshop about guides on my website, Krishanti.com. But a lot of people really want to know what their spirit guides' names are. And it's a kind of a tricky topic and subject because on one hand, there's the idea and school of thought and sort of philosophy that they don't have names because they're not humans and they're not assigned to a human form, and a human naming something is a very human construct. Guides aren't human, so why would they have names? But on the other hand, it's like, well, who are you tuning into? Who do you want to be your guide? And then that brings up the whole thing of, can you pick your guide, or does your guide pick you? What came first, the chicken or the egg? So it's a whole big hullabaloo of information. I don't know if that's the right word, but anyway, I think you get what I'm talking about. So first things first, it seems to me that we have guides that are with us when we're born. And people say that guides can change during different eras of our lifetimes, and I definitely feel that. I have actually deepened into a more really powerful and strong connection with my primary main guide, who different clairvoyants and healers would see and who I felt throughout the years. But now he's talking to me and it's a him. I feel a male sort of vibration. Now, could that be me ascribing male aspects to him? Yes. Could he actually be male? Well, he's not a person, so he doesn't have a gender. So there's that. Now, he gave me a name because I wanted a name because as a human being, like all of us, like it helps me to be able to call you something. So he's like, you can call me this. But the way he presented it to me too was like, you can call me this. It's not like that's what, they're all talking and calling each other names over there, because who knows if they even speak English. Although they telepathically like communicate to us in the language that we speak. So there's all of that. But once I got a reading from someone who was wonderful, one of my favorite teachers and authors, and she gave me a name of a guide, and I had it, and I was like, ugh, I don't even like that name. And I feel like she kind of just pulled it out of her hat, or the name just came. And so I did a lot of thinking about that too. Like, would you have a guide with a name that you don't jive with? I mean, that's pretty interesting, but I let that go, and I don't even remember that name now. I may have it in my notes, but it didn't resonate. So for a guide that you don't know much about or you're not sure of, I would say if you just are setting up, like working on hearing and establishing that communication, just say, like, give me something I can call you. Like, let it just land in my head, let it appear to me. And it should be something that you fancy, that you really love, that you'll have fun saying, that will give you this feeling of upliftment and joy and knowing that someone's helping you. So that's one way to do it. Now, the other kind of areas of this that are a little bit interesting to me and different are, one, if whoever's guiding you is an ancestor, and two, those guides who are like big time, have appeared on Earth before. We know what we call them, and that's who we associate, like that's their name. It's so interesting to me how many times people's ancestors, like great-grandparents, grandparents, elders before them, will come forward in a reading. And so I believe that there is, to an extent, sort of guidance from the other side beyond the veil in the form of a being or a human that is no longer here, but still in spirit form, checking things out on earth. So in that case, they got a name. They're gonna go by the name that you know them by, and that will help you associate and help all of that. So I'm just going to put that aside and then move to the next thing, which is the avatars, the masters, the angels, the spiritual leaders, the beings that have come down to earth, gone back up, or maybe helped from up there, people like the old prophets and sages and leaders of olden times. The reason why I'm talking about all this is that I do channeling work, and I'm channeling the ascended masters as well as archangels and angels. And most of them all have names. And I've talked about this in another video, but I'll like write things out. I type it out. I don't speak it. I'll write it all out, and then I'll look up who they told me about, because I don't know a lot of these names or these people. And then I'll Google it, and the things that will come up will match almost exactly like what they told me, which is fascinating. So they have an association with earth beings, with people, and we've already given them names and labels, and that's how that all works. So by that I mean people like Krishna, who I saw or channeled and spoke to the other day, or your saints. I've seen and spoken with like Saint Anthony and Saint Matilda and Saint Therese and all these different saints. Then you got your Jesus and your Mary. If you're into channeling, I've got to let you know too, or you want a guide like that, like there's no reason why Christ and Jesus Christ and Mary, why they can't be your guides. They were awesome on earth. They're even more awesome in the other realms. And a student and I were talking to Jesus a few years ago, and his energy was humble, loving, so cool. So that is available to you as a presence and as a form. And there's a limitlessness to the vibration of these higher beings. So you don't need to worry about like taking too much of their time, or like, why would they help little old me? They're here to help everyone. And if you call them, they'll come. Same with the angels. So we've associated names with them. So like I know my Raphael and Michael and Gabriel and Uriel and Camiel and Sandalphon and Metatron and all of them. Like I know them all, and we know like, okay, if I say this name, that's who that is. And so when you call them, you can call them by their name. They're cool with that. I don't know if they're up in heaven being like, hey, Michael, hey, Raphael, do you want to go do this or that? Like they're more like energy. So it's a different kind of thing. But I hope that makes sense. I think the whole world of it all is so fascinating and so interesting. So if you're on this journey, come and join me. And the more of us like tuning in and bringing in beautiful vibrations and energies, and working with high level guides and masters and spiritual teachers and avatars, like collectively we raise the vibration of everything. And that's just miraculous. It really is. So I wish you all of the best. Thank you so much for watching. For more info on all this stuff, check out krishanti.com, and I will see you next time. Thanks. Bye.